A famous explorer once said that the extraordinary is in what we do, not who we are. I'd finally set out to make my mark, to find adventure. But instead, adventure found me.
Tomb Raider 2013 is one of those games I'm really glad I finally went back to, but you can absolutely tell it came out in 2013. This is Lara's gritty reboot, her origin story, where she goes from a scared archaeology student to a full-on action hero. And honestly, as a complete package, it still holds up pretty well. Hello everyone, I'm Time Well Played, where your time matters more than mine, so let's not waste it. And as always, the verdict comes first. For me, the reboot of Tomb Raider from 2013 lands a solid 7 out of 10, meaning it proudly earns the no time wasted stamp. It's a solid, very playable game, but the age shows in a couple of big ways. The combat is extremely basic, the camera has this constant wobble that drove me insane, and a lot of the collectibles and optional tombs feel more like padding than meaningful content. In this video I will break down how it feels to play Tomb Raider in 2026, whether it is still worth your time if you missed it back in the day, and why I think it's a good game that just does not quite hit that must-play status anymore. Let's dive right into it. Moment to moment, Tomb Raider 2013 is a very straightforward third-person action game. You climb, you slide, you survive scripted set pieces, and in between you shoot a lot of angry guys in the face. The basics work. Aiming feels fine, the bow is satisfying, the guns do what they need to do, and the cover system is simple but enough to keep you alive. The problem is that it never really evolves beyond that. The combat is very basic, and after a while it honestly gets pretty boring. You unlock a couple of skills, you get some weapon upgrades, but the core of every fight stays the same. You take cover, you pop some heads, maybe throw an explosive in there, and then you move on. There are no real enemy types that force you to change up your strategy in a meaningful way. At some point in the game you will encounter enemies that have more armor on, so you can't just straight up shoot them in the face. The only real difference here is that you just have to dodge their attacks and shoot them in the back. So the combat, it's functional, it works, it's never outright bad, but it also never feels particularly exciting once you are a few hours in. And if you're coming from more modern shooters or action games with deeper systems, this is going to feel like comfort food. It's very easy to digest, but a bit bland if you play long sessions. The biggest thing that annoyed me while playing this game is not even the combat, it's the camera. Tomb Raider 2013 has this constant weird camera bubble when you move. Lara runs, the camera shakes, she walks, the camera has this little bob. It is meant to make things feel more cinematic and grounded, but in practice it is just annoying. And on top of that, you cannot even turn it off in the game's settings, which is wild for a modern PC playthrough. There are third-party mods and patches out there that try to remove it, but a lot of them are old, they're finicky to set up, or just not something most players are going to bother with. I couldn't even find a mod that is up to date that fixes this issue. So out of the box you are stuck with it, and that is the problem. For some people this is just a minor annoyance, for others, including me, it's one of those things that you keep noticing every time you move the stick. It's one of those design decisions that really dates the game. In 2013, lots of games tried this cinematic shaky cam thing. In 2026, it just feels a bad idea that nobody properly patched out. And it genuinely ruined parts of the game for me. When you're not in combat, Tomb Raider 2013 switches into this kind of light exploration mode. You have small hub areas, a bit of backtracking, and of course optional tombs and collectibles. And on paper, that sounds amazing in a Tomb Raider game. You hear optional tombs, you think big puzzle rooms, tricky platforming and clever mechanics. But in reality, the optional tombs are very short and very easy. Most of them are basically one small puzzle in a single room. So you walk in, you look around for a minute or two, you flip a switch, you move a platform, and you're basically done. I did a few of them in the beginning of the game, and they were kind of a fun little break from the main story, But the rewards are so underwhelming and the challenge also never really ramps up, so after a while I just started skipping them. And also, I never really felt like I was missing something crucial. The same goes for a lot of the collectibles. Yeah, they do give you some extra lore, some voice lines, some extra XP, but in terms of actual impact on the gameplay, they feel pretty pointless. If you are someone who wants to 100% this game, you will probably enjoy hunting them all down. If you just want a tight, focused experience, there is very little reason to go out of your way for most of them. So while the game pretends to have this bigger exploratory layer, it is much closer to a linear action game with some side paths and extras stapled on. Again, it's not bad, it's just clearly designed in that early 2010s mindset of collectibles everywhere. Story-wise, Tomb Raider 2013 is very much a product of its time as well. This is the gritty reboot. Lara is young, inexperienced, thrown into a brutal situation on this cursed island, and the whole thing is about her transformation into the Lara Croft we know from later games. The performances are solid, and the cutscenes look fine for their age, and there are a couple of moments that actually land emotionally. Seeing her go from panicking with a bow to confidently clearing rooms later in the game does feel very satisfying. That said, the writing itself is not going to blow you away in 2026. It gets the job done though. You have your mysterious island, some supernatural elements, cultists, an ancient queen, all the usual beats. The crew that is with Lara is mostly just there to move the plot forward and give you someone to rescue. If you compare it to more recent single-player action games with stronger character work, Tomb Raider's story feels pretty safe. Again, it's not bad at all, but it's just fine. Visually, if you're playing on PC or a definitive edition version, the game still looks surprisingly decent. Character models can be a little bit stiff for modern standards, but the lighting, the weather and destruction in some of the set pieces still hold up pretty well. One of the advantages of playing Tomb Raider 2013 in 2026 is pretty simple. On a modern PC, the game runs very smooth. I was easily able to crank up the settings to the maximum and push out high frame rates, and it just chews through it without any real issues. And to be fair, that is exactly what you expect from a game this old on new hardware. So I would not give it extra points for that, but it does make the experience more pleasant. If you're looking to pick this game up, it is often on sale for very cheap. I've seen it for less than $2 on PC, and technically it is not hard to run at all, so any modern system should be able to play this. Just keep in mind though, the smooth performance does not suddenly hide the age of the design. You are still playing a 2013 reboot with all the trends and quirks that came with that era. So, is Tomb Raider 2013 still worth your time in 2026? If you go in expecting a mind-blowing, super deep action adventure, you will probably be a little bit disappointed. This is not on the same level as the very best single-player games we have had since. But besides that, it's still a very decent game. It's a solid reboot, but one where the age is starting to really show. The combat is very basic and gets really repetitive, the camera wobble is genuinely annoying, collectibles and optional tombs often feel like filler, and the story is just fine but nothing special anymore. On the other hand, it runs great on modern hardware, it is short enough that it does not overstay its welcome, and if you are curious about Lara's modern origin story, this is still a fun way to spend a handful of evenings. So in my opinion, if you can grab it for cheap and you're in the mood for a straightforward cinematic action game from the early 2010s, Tomb Raider 2013 is definitely worth your time. It is a good use of your time even, just not an essential one. But if you're looking for something deeper or more modern, I would probably put this game lower on the backlog. But if you're okay with a slightly dated, smooth playing adventure, you can still have a pretty good time in 2026. So, to wrap this all up, this game is a solid reboot that is just starting to creak a little bit around the edges, but still worth it if you know what you're getting into. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm Time Well Played, and if I saved you some time today, please consider giving some back with a like or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.